Movies are the many forms of entertainment, a sense of escapism that the person wishes to enter another realm. However, there is a marginal-sized group that the movie has to endure: the critics. Let's bring this fellow right here for our parody presentation.
What the? Where am I?
A movie reviewer is secretly challenging them making a movie. One has to be sophisticated, honest, and most importantly, open-minded of the experience they're about to witness.
Excuse me, who are you?
I'm the narrator, my dear friend, and you are the lucky reviewer that's going to talk about the movie you just watched.
Oh, I get it. But are you sure I'm the right guy for this thing? Can't you just call the guy in the orange fedora or that look-back fella that does all those Disney villains?
Don't you worry, these steps will be plain and simple for you to understand. Now that you finished watching a movie, you are ready to demonstrate how to review an animated movie. Step 1. Research. A moviegoer must obtain the proper research about the history of the movie. You're not just showing to see how smart you are, but to help you and the viewers understand how the feature-length film turns out to be. Do not use social media sites as tools unless they're verified by a cast or crew member. Instead, replace them with Wikipedia pages, home media bonus features, and documentary films. Also share personal connections to the movie.
Not just the movie, the Goofy movie. Well, this is certainly an interesting Disney phenomenon. There have been plenty of Disney anime movies that gained a cult following throughout the years, like Atlantis, Alice in Wonderland, Rescuers Down Under, and even some of their recent stuff like Onward, Raya, or Wish. But the one Disney movie that unbelievably became an explosive classic is a Goofy movie. But many of you might still be wondering, why isn't this particular film under the Disney Animation Studios library? Well, the truth is, a Goofy movie is based on a popular Disney afternoon show called Goof Troop, where it follows the usual bit like every other sitcom. Goofy and Max have some wacky hijinks and adventures. The Goofy movie would serve as a standalone spin-off to the show, but still be animated by Disney Television Animation, not Studios Animation. When the film came out on April 7, 1995, it kinda fell flat. It got a small record of $37.6 million against its $18 million budget, and critics at the time were not open-minded or satisfied, mostly because it was a 90s movie. But over time, a Goofy movie transformed into a 90s time capsule where everyone on Earth were feeling the beat and joy that it had back then, resulting in tons of Powerline merchandise and a documentary movie on Disney Plus called Not Just a Goof in honor of the movie's 30th anniversary. And how fitting, because I'm about to talk about how well does this movie really holds up for the past 30 years.
Step 2. Storytelling. Every story has a beginning, middle, and end. Your job is to pass all three and weigh both the pros and cons and how it's written. You can't sacrifice one over the other out of spite. Just observe the originality, world building, comedy, and moral values.
Okay! Welcome to another episode of The Wonder Reviews. Here's a fresh reminder why the 90s brought more life, color, and meaning than the 2020's gray and plain paint. Let's wrap up Curious Month with a Goofy movie. It's about Goofy's son named Max, played by Jason Marsden, who wants to impress a girl named Roxanne and ask her out on the first day of summer. But Goofy, played by Bill Farmer respectfully, decides to go on a fishing trip with Max so they can have a close father and son relationship. However, instead of telling Roxanne the truth about his summer plans, Max lied to his love interest that his dad knows a famous pop star named Powerline, and he's going to be at the concert on stage. So Max tries to figure out a way to drive towards the concert, but settle with his relationship with Goofy. Also with a Disney Easter egg movie. And like Ralph Breaks the Internet 2010's bid or Wish's 100th anniversary, I was never picky over the Disney or 90 references when watching this. Sometimes they're just here for a joke, but the time period itself does lay in the tone of what sort of anime movie you're about to watch. For the rest of the humor, I love this Goofy movie comedy. About 85% of it is funny thanks to the cartoony slapstick, the over-the-top energy, visual jokes, and even some of the crazy interactions.
Sassy Press!
Now, I will admit, the plot itself is still a bit cliche because, well, it's still a liar story. Not only does Max lie to Roxanne about going to the concert, but he also even lied to his dad by tampering with the math directions as part of his plan. But there are two plot elements that help make the movie stand out by itself and to be an enjoyable cartoon. One is the heart. The father-son relationship is more genuine and weirdly mature for a movie based on a Disney afternoon sitcom. Although Goofy already knows Max is no longer a little kid, he is still his son and Goofy will be available for him. And the second plot element is that it's not even lying about being a Goofy movie. As serious as the heart is, there are a bunch of random stuff that pops out throughout the running time, like an opening dream sequence, a runaway car, some bizarre musical numbers, which we'll get to in a bit, and Bigfoot. So, an unpredictable Goofy movie, if you will.
Step 3. Character arcs. A story must have the perfect cast, not to be confused with the legendary dance, but the movie must make the characters likable, fleshed out, and sometimes relatable.
Well, I don't know if I could categorize Goofy Movie's characters as fleshed out, but being based on a familiar property is likable enough, and you will get a strong connection with these characters.
Let's talk about the dog man, the legend, Goofy. A single father that wants to spend some quality time with his son after the Wallace Shawn principal over-exaggerated on his powerline stunt. He's still the lovable, clumsy cartoon character from the classics, but he truly cares about his son and wants to make sure he's going on the right path in the future. With Max, on the other hand, he's more like the exact opposite of his dad, where all he wants throughout the movie is to act Roxanne out and not get embarrassed by his dad with any childish or other goofy stuff. Max can be sometimes relatable since many kids are either shy to act someone special out, or the fact that they had to deal with their parents being so protective or doing something old-fashioned or silly that it's not what their kid's into. However, there is an additional layer to Max where he's worried that he might become exactly like his dad by inheriting some of his habits. But when the movie focuses heavily on their relationship, that's when you get a lot of feeling between Goofy and Max. While Max wants to be independent and Goofy wants to be part of his son's life, they only have each other to get through the toughest challenges and help Max with his Roxanne and Powerline dilemma. For the rest of the characters, there isn't a lot to talk about them since most of them barely appear on screen. We got one character trait from them, and that's all we know about them in this movie. Like PJ is Max's best friend, Roxanne is the love interest who also has a crush on Max, Powerline is the famous pop star, Bigfoot is one of the obstacles Goofy and Max have to endure, and Bobby is Max's other friend who has a cheese obsession. The only side character that does contain a lot of depth like Goofy and Max is Pete. This is one of the rare instances where he's not portrayed as a villain in any Mickey and Friends adventures. He's still the big, mean cat-like person, but he does often help Goofy on how to be a better and assertive father, and the interactions between the two dads would show and contrast their parenting methods.
Step 4. Arts and craftsmanship. Animation nowadays have many different forms an art can choose from. There's 2D, 3D, puppet, shell puppet, claymation, stop motion, hand-drawn anime, CGI anime, motion capture, rotoscoping, flash animation, cutout animation, and mixed media. Your mission: analyze the smooth craftsmanship, but always remember, respect the artist.
Oh, yeah, pretty colors.
As previously mentioned, Walt Disney Animation Studios, the movie studio, have nothing to do with Goofy Movie's animation. This was mostly done by their television animation. However, unlike Disney's direct-to-DVD sequels or even Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate, for an anime film made by Disney Television Animation, it's surprisingly well made and professional. The quality is far different from the Disney Afternoon show it was based off, and it really does have that cinematic feel. This is more evident with the backgrounds and the cartoony animation. Most of the settings the characters travel do present some amazing colors and atmosphere that make themselves stand out. Although some locations like the high school or the forest don't offer a lot, the others like the Possum theme park, the Powerline concert, the underwater motel, the Grand Canyon, and even the opening dream sequence are very immersed and vibrant. And the animators had a lot of fun with the character animation, showing off many of the cartoony slapstick whenever Goofy's doing something silly, and the awesome dancing during the musical numbers. The elements get even better with some camera angles and lighting, making some of the scenes like the car chase, Max's Powerline stunt, and his own nightmare pretty intense. As for the character designs, they contain a wide variety of doll-like characters with a few exceptions, and each of them are creative and recognizable in the Goof universe.
Step 5. The music. There's an old saying, music soothes the savage beast. Whether it be a musical or an orchestra, just feel the rhythm and you'll be sucked into the movie itself.
This is another factor why everybody remembers Goofy movies so dearly. The songs are just memorable. For my take on this, yeah, these musical numbers are pretty amazing. I'd probably put them alongside many animation studio songs from the Disney Renaissance. They have many iconic scenes, well-animated choreography, and most of the lyrics are catchy. The first song, After Today, is about Max and everybody else begin to celebrate their last day of school. There's On the Open Road, where Goofy tries to show the joys of road trips, where a bunch of random people show up during the drive. And Nobody Else But You is the Reconcile song, where Goofy and Max decide to settle their differences and accept each other as family. When it comes to the Powerline songs like Stand Out and Eye to Eye, they're also enjoyable as the other three musical numbers, presenting some bright colors and cool dance sequences, obviously paying homage to some of the popular 90s pop songs from Michael Jackson or Prince. The only song that's different from the Powerline and Goofy numbers is Lester's Possum Park, and that's because it's one of those campy animatronic theme park songs that's meant to satirize the old Country Bear Jamboree. It's a funny parody, but I find the Possum song to be forgettable because it's not a Broadway or Powerline song.
It might sound silly, but a part of me wish a Goofy movie was also a Goofy musical, like how Frozen and Newsy got themselves a Broadway show. It would be so cool to do all those dances and Goofy comedy on stage.
Step 6. The final score. Now that you narrow down the basics on reviewing this, do the math of the things you just talked about and deliver the final results as fair as possible.
You got it. Spoiler alert, I had a wonderful time with this cartoon road trip.
A Goofy movie is definitely a time capsule from the 90s, but it's an enjoyable 90s movie. Sure, the plot is a bit cliche, but the father and son heart, funny comedy, well-crafted animation, catchy musical numbers, and likable characters is what made Goofy's movie a spectacle to remember. If you enjoy watching Goof Troop or some 90s movies like Space Jam or any of Goofy's other funny cartoons, then you will really have a wonderful time with this silly, Goofy movie. I wouldn't consider it as a masterpiece or anything. It's not at the same level as something like Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King, Aladdin, or The Little Mermaid, but I can still call it a really good movie, like how Goofy is a really good dad. I'm giving his movie a B+.
Congratulations, Mad Hair Patrick! You have completed your Curious Month reviews.
Does that mean we can finally end the sketch?
That's right. Just long enough to demonstrate
Oh, come on!
how to end the review. Begin at the end by doing something that's a little bit silly, followed by a small foreshadowing on your next review.
Huh? Whoa! Whoa! Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo!
And last but not least, a reminder of the grade, is subclasses and the end credits. Good night, folks.
Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this, check out these other videos, or feel free to like, comment, and subscribe for more upcoming reviews and other projects. I'll see you soon.